to episode 2 of She and Desire, a podcast where we explore being black, kinky, and navigating various emotions and relationships in kink. Welcome back! And I'm your host, Sparkle, and I am so excited to be here. Episode 2. So let's recap. Episode 1, we talked about definitions in kink. We talked about being safe, sane, and consensual. And we also touched on forums that you can find people like FetLife, Instagram, TikTok. And we also touched on the swinger lifestyle just a little bit, not as much as, I wanted to. But for episode 2, we are going to talk about dungeons, play scenes, vetting, lack of representation as always for my kinky black people, and self-care, which could include drop. So come on and let's start episode 2. That's 4 fingers. 2. Alright. So we're gonna talk about dungeons, right? You hear it and you're like, oh my god, what is that? That just sounds like so interesting. It sounds very like something you only see in the movies, right? Well, they're real. They're just not as dungeony as you might think. They're like, little get-together spaces with toys and stuff. I don't know. When I first heard of a dungeon, I was like, a dark, eerie place. And it can be dark, but it's not really eerie, if that makes sense. So a dungeon is described as a space where one can explore a scene or some type of play, which could be like, as I told you before, role play, impact, fire play, needle play, all types of play. You can see all that type of stuff at a dungeon. So you can see like my favorite thing I used to like people to think about with a dungeon, it's just like a space for people to get together and just be kinky. It's like going to a club. In the club, we're all fam. Yeah, in the kinky club, we're all fam and we're all doing what we want. And it's not scary. Well, maybe to me it's not scary because I've been here for a while. It could be scarier for newcomers, but it's really not that scary once you're in it. Another thing, a play party. What's a play party? Play parties are mostly for the swinger people. That's where they go to get their rocks off. Okay, that's kind of weird. That's where they go to That's where they go to engage in sexual practices. That's most likely what a play party is. It's not the same as going to a dungeon to just engage in a non-sexual scene. Most likely play parties are they're gonna have relations, they're gonna have sex. But let's reel back that. A scene, right? It's some form of interaction with 2 or more people, acting out some form of art, or they're role-playing what they want to do. I call it art because I think kink is art in itself because you're doing some really cool, amazing things. The coolest thing to me in kink is shibari or any type of rope. To me, I'm just like, holy crap, that is so amazing. And I have been blessed to be in some rope. And let me tell you, the feeling unmatched. I get very floaty and just I just love it. If you watch SZA, one of her music videos, she was in one of her music videos, she was in shibari, in the rope, all tied up. That's kink. That's Japanese bondage. That's amazing to me. It was fun. When I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, she's in shibari. That is so cool. Okay, the shibari police, don't come to me. I don't know all of these names or all the role plays that y'all do. So, spare me, please. Spare me. Yeah. So another thing, let's talk about the do's and don'ts, like when you go to a dungeon or just any type of kinky events. So there are things that you shouldn't do and some things that you can do. And when you're a newcomer, you don't really know what you can and can't do if you don't have someone that's telling you or just giving you information. So it's good to just know what you can and can't do. We're gonna start off with the things that you can do, the good things first, okay? So come with an open mind. Be open to seeing all types of stuff. Don't come here if you're closed-minded. It's not gonna work for you, I promise you. If you're closed-minded, you're not gonna have a great time, and you're gonna be so trapped in your head that you're just gonna not wanna be there. So don't come here closed-minded. You're gonna see all types of stuff. You're gonna see nude people. You're gonna see people clothed. You're gonna see people from all walks of life. So you need to be open-minded. Don't come in here with your small mind bullshit. No. No. Alright. Do ask questions if you are confused. But I say this with discretion. Do not ask questions while someone is doing a scene. You wait until after, because you don't want to interrupt anybody's scene. The same way how you don't want nobody to interrupt you on your break time at work. It's the same shit. Don't interrupt nobody. Alright? Okay. Be aware of your surroundings. Like, know where the fuck you at. Don't come in here not knowing where the fuck you going. Because then you're going to be mad when you don't know what's happening. So don't do that. Be mindful of what's happening around you so you don't get hurt. Like, don't be too close to someone that's flogging someone. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Basically, that's what I'm saying. And be yourself. You know, be your unapologetically yourself. Especially my black people. Don't be scared to be yourself, baby. Be yourself. And that's on period. Do come with someone. You know, find someone that you are comfortable with to come to these events. Like, have one person. Now, if you don't, normally when you are new to a event space, they normally have moderators that are open to helping you and telling you the rules of the space you're going to, and also they're there to help and answer any questions that you have. So please ask for someone that has knowledge of the space that you're going to. If you don't, they're always helpful in that area. The don'ts. Y'all, I've been through this too many times. Hard don'ts. Do not interrupt a scene. Do not walk up to somebody and talk to them while they're scening. Don't do it. I've had it happen to me. And it took me out of my headspace of what I was doing, and I was just like, yeah, I'm done. I've seen it happen to so many people, especially from newcomers who don't really know the rules, or from swingers who are like coming from the swinging world to being into kink, and they don't know what the fuck they're doing, and I understand this curiosity, but I feel like the same rules that apply in the real world apply to kink world. Like, don't interrupt somebody when they're doing something. Wait till they're done to ask. It's not that fucking hard. Y'all be acting like y'all can't do this shit, and that shit's crazy to me. I digress. Whatever. So don't do that. Don't do that. I remember I went to an event in DC, and it was a really big event. Like, so many people, like fetish people, kink people. When I say fetish people, I mean like people who are into like fetish wear. These are like your latex people, you know? So swingers. So like a lot of people came together, and I was sitting watching this couple do a rope scene. Spectacular, like freaking amazing. And this woman just like constantly kept like, hey, what's happening? And like walking into the scene. Not only did this scene have, you know, little like barriers that you shouldn't really cross. If you're in kink, you would know. but people were stepping over and just being like, hey, what are you doing? What is that? And they got so frustrated, which as they should, you know, because like, why are you just walking and seeing me do something and just decide to come and interrupt me? Like, you don't want to interrupt your fucking teachers and shit like that when you're in college. Don't do that shit. That's rude. And the part that really ticked me off about it, it was, you know, she said to the lady, I'll answer your questions in a sec, just, you know, give me time. And it's like 10 minutes later, they're like, oh, can we be next? Can we be next? And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with people? And then at the end of the night, when I realized they were swingers. So, swingers, y'all got a bad fucking rep. It's so disgusting the way y'all act. Ugh, gross. Anyways, let's continue. Don't touch anyone. Don't touch anything that's not yours. Just don't touch nothing. Don't touch nothing. The same way you don't want nobody touching you, you don't want strangers putting their hands on you. Don't touch nobody. It's not that hard. Don't touch nothing. And I'm gonna keep telling y'all, don't touch shit that's not yours. 6 fucking words. Don't do it. Alright? I don't have to explain that no more. Don't do it. Another thing. Don't ask people for their real names and occupations outside of the scene or the community. They don't need to tell you shit. Don't do it. For some people, it's just a discreet life they're having and they just want to let loose and have fun. Others are more open to, telling like, hey, in the real world, I do this, blah, blah, blah. And that's great. Some people are not. So please don't do that. I always recommend having a scene name that you go by. Just so that if you don't want people to know your real name. Like my scene name is Sparkle. And I love that name. I've had it since day one of being in Kink. So pick a scene name. Now, as you get more comfortable with the Kink community you build and the friends you have, of course, you're open to telling them your real name and what you do. But a lot of people like to be discreet. So if you don't want to, just don't. Okay? And that's fine. So we're gonna move on. Some other shit. Vetting. Oh my god. What is vetting? Oh my god. What is that? Sorry. My bad. My bad. Anyways, let's continue. So vetting is getting to know someone before you have a scene with them. Which vetting could look like asking them questions about their safe, sane, consensual theory that they go by, asking them if they have any references to like the activities they do, as in like some people who are like rope tops, they have a lot of experience, so they have people that you can reach out to like verify that they're like safe, sane, and also they don't push any boundaries and stuff like that. Or it could be, you could even do vetting with doing pickup play. Let's say you go to a club, or even if it's not kinky but like lifestyle, just having those, you know, first time questions to make sure that you're going to be safe. So that's really what vetting is. I recommend vetting a lot. And I know some people are open to pickup play. I'm not really into pickup play because I need to know you before I let you touch me. But that's also because I don't like to be touched. Don't touch me when we just meet. That shit really grind my fucking gears. I don't like that shit. Don't do it. So, I do recommend having those questions and having those conversations before you play with someone, just to make sure that you're gonna be okay and you're safe and they're consensual. You want to make sure they're consensual, because you know some of these people be, you know, a wolf in sheep clothing. I don't know why I almost said that wrong. Yeah, they be like, yeah, I'm consensual, blah, 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 I follow this. And then you get with them behind closed doors, and them bitches is not fucking consensual. They're anything but that. They like to put your boundaries. They like to be like, oh, well, let's try this after you say no. And them motherfuckers, you need to run from them. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with them, but you need to get the fuck out of there. And there's a lot of them that be hiding in Kink. Yeah, I'm looking at your ass. And let's pick up pickup play. As you can tell from what I just said, pickup play is just having a spontaneous scene with someone. at a dungeon or at a kinky event space that, you know, you're just like, oh my god, they look so cool. Or you see them play with someone else and you're like, oh, let's test that out. So that could be pickup play. Like, you don't have to have like a long term relationship or known for too long to play with them. But as I said, do pickup play at your discretion, because it can be a hit or miss. And let me tell you about my first pickup play. Flashbacks. Amazing. My first pickup play was amazing. I had went to a dungeon and I was there with a friend, and I saw these, that's not even how it happened. I saw these two guys. We just started chopping it up, talking. They were black. And I remember we went around the corner and one of them was playing with a flogger, and I was like, oh, you can test it out on my ass. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. And he started doing his little flog tricks on my butt, and it was like really, really nice. I'm a masochist, so I really, really enjoy pain. And then this other guy had that I had saw and spoke to came over, and he was like, let me, you know, he's like, can I? And I'm like, yeah. He asked before. He's like, can I? I'm like, please, by all means. And they both started tag teaming me, and it was amazing. And with that, the bruises that I got, great. My first time getting bruised. But while they were doing impact on me, they were definitely checking in to make sure I was okay. One of them were feeding me grapes, getting me water, making sure I was hydrated, and asking me if I was okay. And they took time going back and forth with the play until I was like, okay, we're done. And they're like, yeah, we're done. And it was amazing. Aftercare was one of them putting ice on my butt and rubbing me down with oil, and it was amazing, and it was not sexual. It was very, very just soothing, very soothing. And that was my first pickup play, and they have set the standard so high for me in kink that I'm just like, I don't really want to play with nobody else if it's not them, or if I don't see them play like that. Because I did watch the guy that fed me the grapes. I watched him play that like earlier in the night and saw how he played, and I was like, yeah, this is a really good person. He's doing his thing, and he's very respectful, and I really like that. So when I did engage with both of them, to now they both have a special place in my heart. Amazing, 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 amazing. So again, pickup play can be a hit or a miss. I have had a hit, and yes, great. So let's not forget with pickup play having that consent, and also making sure you're comfortable, and also make sure you're comfortable with saying no if you don't want something. That's like the biggest part. A lot of people, they get into the play and they don't want to say no when they start to get uncomfortable. Say no if you're uncomfortable. That's okay. You can stop play at any time. You don't have to continue because your top or your top, if you're a bottom, if your top's having a great time and they seem like they're having the most amazing time in the world and you're not, you can say no. You can say I'm done. You can call your safe word. Have your safe word. Your safe word is the word you use when you don't want to play anymore, when you're done, or if you need to pause. Use your safe word. You need them. Now, what is a safe word? I just said it. Something you need to say if you need to pause, take a break, or just stop. What can your safe words be? Anything you want it to be. It could be any word. Now, I think you should make it a word that's simple as hell. But some of y'all be coming up with some words I don't get. Like, what? How am I? But that's how you have that relationship with the person you're playing with, and for them to know what your safe word is. My safe word is red. Real fucking simple. Red! That means we're done. Also, in most spaces, they mostly go by green, yellow, or red. Which is green, you're good to go. Yellow, pause. And red is like you're completely done. So it's almost like the same thing as like the stoplight signs. So that in kink, you know, same thing applies. So you can also use that if you want. I use it. But you can make your safe word pineapples, starburst. I don't know, other words. No. No is a good safe word too. Like that's good. I don't use no because I like to engage in consensual and non-consensual play, which we'll get onto later on. So no for me means please keep going, or hit me harder, or I like to brat, as I am a brat, and I like to just say things to get people under their skin, and when they ask me a question, I'd be like, no, I didn't say that. That wasn't me. I don't know who you're talking about. The whole time I'm like, it wasn't me. It is I. So choose a safe word that you're comfortable with. Now, let's get to some other stuff. Lack of representation of Black people in these spaces. For example, impact play. With impact, what you will see online is not going to be the same thing you might experience as a Black person. Like, for instance, impact play with white people, they might bruise, or they will bruise and have really pretty bruising. Like, they turn from purple to like a greenish color or yellow, and you'll be like, oh my God, that is amazing. I want to bruise like that. But you're brown. So you may not always bruise like that. Hence, some brown people, I've seen some bruises on some brown bodies, and they were purple, and I'm like, damn, you've been through it. I know that for you. I don't bruise. I don't know why God gave me that trait. I don't really like it because I love me a nice bruise now. I don't like a mark. I don't like a permanent mark, but I like a nice bruise. And as a brown girl, I don't really bruise. Or if I do bruise, it only lasts less than a day, if that. So don't beat yourself up if you don't get the same bruises as you see being shown on FetLife or any other forms you're using from doing impact play. You're still a masochist if you're being beat to the pulp and you don't have any bruises to show for that. You're still a masochist. You're no less than a masochist if that's your thing. Okay, you're no less than a bottom if you did an impact and don't have any bruises to show for it. You're still a bottom, that bottom for impact, and you're still just as good and just as great as those who are lighter skinned and bruise more, showing their bruises for their impact. So like, don't feel any kind of way. And you may not see like it a lot in kink because you just won't, which is really sad, but you won't see a lot of brown bodies with bruises, and that's fine. Another thing, rope. I personally did not see a lot of Black people in rope, especially in my area. Now I'm seeing a little more as I venture out, but you see mostly petite white people doing rope. I don't know why, but that's just the standard for some reason, but it's not. A lot of Black people are now getting into rope, and they're now being tied, and they are now showing off their skills, and they are amazing, and they look so good. Another thing, petite. You don't have to be petite to be in rope. And I always thought it was weird that all that they the pictures that are on like the websites are always of like petite women being tied, and you don't have to be petite to be tied with the rope. You can be thick. You can be thicky and be tied. So don't let them scare you, baby. It's okay. Like you're just as good in rope as the rest of them. We're gonna deviate a little bit. So we talked about like engaging in a scene, right? And having those endorphins the last time that we had talked about this in episode 1. And with that, after that, you could experience something called drop. Now, drop is the coming down of like all the endorphins. Like you're just, all of those endorphins that were like rushing out, like they're decreasing. So now you're probably getting like, more sad and just like more exhausted. And the thing with that, it can last from like just the end of the scene, and it could last up to weeks for some people. So that's something to be mindful of, like experiencing that and knowing what it is that you're experiencing. Now, if you don't experience it, that's okay. I have never experienced drop. I don't know why. I just have never really experienced drop. So if you've never experienced it, that's okay. But I am telling you because a lot of people in the kink community do experience it, and I do hear about it a lot, and I'm like, oh wow, that's very interesting. And you know what they do say is to, when that's happening, you want to surround yourself with things that make you happy, you know, do some self-care and take care of your body and hydrate. So you just want to make sure you're doing that to yourself if you do experience some kind of drop. So with, you know, self-care, you know, watching TV, being around people you love, reaching out to those people that play with you or the people you did play with, you know, making sure that you have people check up on you. If you do a scene with someone, let's say you do a scene with someone and the next day they don't text you and they're like, hey, I'm checking in. There's no form of check-in to make sure you're okay. That's a red flag. Don't do it. Don't play them again. Unless you have some kind of like deep, long conversation. But you want to make sure that the people you're playing with are checking in with you and making sure you're okay after the scene. Not just like a minute after, but at least a day after. Checking in. That's really, really important. Some people, you don't have to check in because that's just not their thing. They don't need to be checked up on. I'm one of them people. But a lot of people need that reassurance and make sure that they're okay. That sound of care. So if you're a top, check in. Even if you're a bottom, check in on your top to make sure that they're okay too, because they exerted a lot of energy to do this scene just as much as the bottom did. So checking in on each other, vice versa, regardless of the role that was played, is very, very important. So please do that. I just want to say thank you for coming to episode 2, where we just talked about, oh man, I'm sorry. I lost my little page. Where we talked about dungeons, play scenes, vetting, lack of representation, self-care, drop. So those are just some of the basics that we're going over in this podcast. So for episode 3, we're going to talk about some dynamics. All right, dom, sub, master, slave. You know, what is a play partner versus nesting partners and stuff like that. So I know episode 2 has been really short. I just wanted to, you know, do a little something. And I wanted to just check in with you guys. Also, as you can see, the background have changed. That's because my setup is being used for something else right now. So this is gonna be what we have until we get our setup back up and running. So I want to say thank you for joining me. Thank you for your comments, your support, and don't stop being kinky, weird, and keep exploring your desires. Like, keep doing that. I love that for you. Again, I'm Sparkle. Bye.